64, 128. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. So even though I cross the octet boundary underneath, I still come back to my octet. And so even though I may have some bits over here, and maybe one here, you see, it's still separated by this boundary. So I put this goes in this octet, this will go in this octet. We'll never, it never changes. Now, most people can do this. Where they run into problem is when they forget that they have to convert. So all you're doing is converting up here. Now, more on that later. All I want you to do is start thinking about this. When I borrow or subtract or take away post bits, it's a subtraction process. Whenever you're borrowing, which you always borrow from where? You borrow from this side or this side? Left side. You always borrow from the left side and you subtract. So when we talk about borrowing, you do the same thing. Now, the other thing that you have to remember is that if I need to borrow 3 bits, let's just say, I cannot go, I'll take this one and this one and this one. You have to go here to here to here. And that's the same thing you do when you do subtraction. You don't jump around. So when you borrow, you have to be what we say contiguous. It's a fancy word for next to each other. Contiguous. All right. Just want to get you thinking about this. It's all basic numbers, but for some of you that struggle a little bit with math, keep in mind that you can look for patterns. That's what they are. Look at this. 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. This one, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 4, 1, 1, 1, 1. They're all patterns. And eventually you start to see the relationship. When you see how it's done, it's really pretty simple. Now, and I realize that, again, for some of you this might seem confusing. When I first started doing it, it was, although I got a jump on some of you. I've been doing binary since probably 1982. Because in a past life, I used to work with programmable controllers, and we worked with base 8 and base 16 and base 10, and obviously base 2. So binary hasn't been a big issue with me. Where I ran into the problem was this conversion right here. And I have to tell you, it wasn't until 1998 when I was teaching a class that all of a sudden the light came on. And you suddenly say, so simple. Remind you, when you start reading, I'm going to encourage you to do everything on paper. Write it out so you can see how it works. I'll show you the process I use, which basically deals something like this. You can find one that works for you. All I want to remind you is don't jump around. If Steve has a way that works for him, and Justin has a way that works for him, and you're struggling, don't bounce back and forth between Justin and Steve, and then or go to somebody else and get a third way. Usually when people start struggling with this, they'll start with one, they'll say this is too hard, so they'll go to somebody else's, and then they'll get confused. And I've seen it too many times where people will jump from process to process. Everybody's brain works a little different in how they do this. And so You have to find a way that works for you, but don't jump around with trying to get 3 or 4 processes. If you don't understand one, all you're going to do is get confused when you try and look at the other one. All right, any questions? All right, this lab should go fairly straight. It's just, again, a continuation of yesterday. You should be able to get everything except the last section, which is a TFTP server. Most of you are familiar with the term FTP server and may probably have used the TFTP server, and it worked yesterday. Well, there is another type of server out there called a TFTP. Stands for Trivial File Transfer Protocol. It is a very simple one. The reason we introduce it to you, at least mention the name, is because you'll use it a lot next semester when you're dealing with routers, because when we transfer data from routers and switches, lots of times we will use what is called a TFTP server. So I just want you to at least be aware of it. I don't know that the Eagle server's TFTP server will work, but at least you can kind of see it. All right, lab should be there. Eagle server should be up. You should be able to connect, and the lab is not there? Nope. All right, let me find out why it's not there.